The quiet of the human colony was shattered in an instant. Without warning, the skies above the peaceful settlement turned dark, as massive ships filled with alien slavers descended from the heavens. These aliens, known for their ruthless conquests across the galaxy, had arrived to take what they wanted, human lives, to be sold as slaves. Their ships, larger than any human vessel, shimmered with advanced technology, and the deadly whir of their weapons could be heard even before they touched down. The colony's defenses, though sturdy, stood no chance against the overwhelming force of these invaders. In a matter of minutes, the slavers' forces stormed the colony with ease. Their soldiers, equipped with weapons that could melt through steel like butter, obliterated everything in their path. People screamed, running for cover, but it was futile. The invaders moved like shadows, cutting down anyone who resisted. Their ships unleashed waves of drones that zipped through the air, taking out defenses and tracking down any humans foolish enough to try to escape. Among the chaos, a small group of civilians, seemingly no different from the others, was captured. They were thrown into cages aboard the alien ships. To the slavers, they were just another group of weak humans, primitives, unworthy of notice. These humans, like all the others, were bound and shackled, their eyes filled with fear. But something about them was different. They didn't scream or cry. They didn't panic. In fact, they remained disturbingly calm, their eyes scanning their surroundings with a quiet intensity. Leading the group was Sergeant Alex Carter. A tall, muscular man in his late 30s, Carter's face was hard and unmoving, his eyes sharp with focus. His demeanor was unsettling, too calm for someone who had just been captured by a hostile alien race. The aliens, too busy with the chaos around them, didn't think twice about these prisoners. They assumed they were just farmers or workers, ordinary people who were no threat to their mighty empire. But they were wrong. Carter, along with the rest of the prisoners, was a part of a secret program. Special Forces operatives, trained to fight in the most dangerous situations imaginable, these humans were far from helpless. They were soldiers, experts in combat, survival, and tactics that no alien invader could ever anticipate. Even though they were shackled, even though they were behind bars, they were planning, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. As the slavers transported the prisoners aboard their massive ship, they were completely unaware of the danger they were carrying with them. The ship's corridors were cold and sterile, lit with a harsh blue light that reflected off the metallic walls. The prisoners were shoved into a small, dark holding cell, where the sounds of the ship's engines vibrated through the walls. They could hear the slavers moving outside, laughing and talking in their alien tongue, completely oblivious to what was coming. Inside the cell, the prisoners remained still, their eyes moving like calculating machines. They spoke in whispers, but their voices were low, purposeful. Carter gave a subtle nod to his team, signaling that it was time to act. But they would not make their move yet. They knew that rushing would be a mistake. Patience was key. They needed to understand the layout of the ship, to find weaknesses in the alien defenses. They had to wait for the perfect moment. And so, they did. The prisoners' calmness, in stark contrast to the chaos outside, was unnerving. The slavers watched them closely, but they saw nothing dangerous in them. They couldn't sense the soldiers' readiness, the quiet storm brewing beneath the surface. For the aliens, this would be their fatal mistake. As the ship continued its journey through space, a slow sense of dread began to settle in the air. The slavers were growing increasingly cocky, as they believed they had won. They laughed about their easy victory. But Carter and his team knew that the true battle hadn't even started yet. The slavers had underestimated humanity, and they would soon learn just how dangerous humans could be when cornered. The hook, these primitives, were far from defenseless. The slavers, in their arrogance, had captured the wrong humans, and they would soon discover that their easy victory had turned into their worst nightmare. The calmness of the prisoners was the calm before the storm, and it was only a matter of time before the aliens would feel the full force of their mistake. The alien ship hummed with the sound of its massive engines as it sailed through the vast emptiness of space. Inside the ship, the captured humans were treated like livestock. The aliens, certain of their victory, separated the prisoners into different holding areas and threw them into the lower levels of the ship. These dark, cold rooms were nothing more than cages, designed to break the will of their captives. The aliens saw no need for anything more. They thought of the humans as nothing more than weak, primitive creatures, easy to control, easy to break. But what the aliens didn't realize was that they had made a grave mistake. In the depths of the ship, hidden away from alien eyes, the human prisoners began to stir. They weren't broken. They weren't helpless. They were soldiers, trained in the harshest conditions, and they had no intention of staying locked up like animals. The moment the doors of their cells closed, their minds began to work. Sergeant Alex Carter, the leader of the group, gave a subtle signal. His team, each one a trained Special Forces operative, moved quickly and quietly. They had brought advanced gear with them, hidden beneath their prison clothing. Cloaking devices, small but powerful, activated the moment they were left alone in their cells. The aliens, arrogant in their belief that they were in control, never suspected that the humans could still be a threat. The first task was to disable the alien surveillance systems. The ship was equipped with cameras and sensors at every turn, meant to keep prisoners under constant watch. But the humans had studied the ship's systems closely. Using their tech, they silently hacked into the ship's surveillance network. Within minutes, the cameras blinked out of existence, and the prisoners were free to move around undetected. As the humans moved through the dark corridors, they planted small but significant seeds of rebellion. The ship's advanced technology, which the aliens trusted so completely, began to fail. Communications went down. The slavers couldn't reach each other, couldn't coordinate their efforts. Security drones, once the perfect hunting machines, malfunctioned and started wandering aimlessly. The aliens, still unaware of what was happening, dismissed these issues as small technical glitches. After all, they were certain their power would crush these primitive humans with ease. But the seeds of chaos had already been sown. In the control room, the slavers began to notice the strange disruptions, but they couldn't figure out what was causing them. At first, they were confused, thinking it was just a minor malfunction. But as more systems failed, the slavers started to grow nervous. Their once perfect ship was beginning to fall apart, and they didn't know why. The tension among the alien crew grew. Some began to whisper in fear, but the leaders kept their calm. They reassured their subordinates that it was nothing to worry about, that these primitive humans were no match for their superior technology. Yet, as the minutes passed, the situation grew more tense. Every malfunction, every flicker of the lights, was another sign that something bigger was happening. The humans were doing more than just surviving, they were sabotaging the ship from the inside. And the slavers, for all their advanced technology, couldn't see it. The quiet, tense atmosphere aboard the ship was beginning to shift. It was the calm before the storm. The slavers still believed they were in control, but beneath the surface, the humans were preparing for something far bigger. They were organizing, gathering strength, and waiting for the right moment to strike. As the aliens scrambled to fix the growing problems, they couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. But it was too late. The humans were already one step ahead. They had the element of surprise, and that would make all the difference. For days, the humans had quietly prepared. They knew the attack had to be precise, one mistake, and everything would fall apart. They had already sabotaged the ship's systems, causing minor glitches to confuse the aliens. But now, it was time to strike. Their plan was set in motion. As the alien ship entered a dangerous nebula, the perfect opportunity presented itself. The dense clouds of gas and radiation caused disruptions in the ship's sensors, giving the humans a rare window of time to act. The slavers, still unaware of the growing threat, believed they could rely on their advanced technology to see through the nebula's interference. But that was exactly what the humans were counting on. Using their advanced stealth technology, the humans moved through the ship undetected. Cloaked and silent, they moved like shadows through the corridors, slipping past the alien patrols without leaving a trace. Their goal was clear, the ship's command center, where the alien officers were coordinating the attack on Earth. Sergeant Alex Carter, leading the charge, signaled his team to split up. They had trained for this moment, every move planned and rehearsed. The humans were soldiers, and this was their domain. As they reached the command center, they made their move. The first officer fell without a sound, his throat slashed in one swift motion. His body crumpled to the floor, unnoticed by the other aliens as they continued their work. One by one, the humans took out the key officers, their movements so quick and precise that the slavers couldn't even react. But then, the silence was shattered. A loud crash echoed through the corridors as an alien officer managed to raise the alarm. The peaceful infiltration was over. A brutal hand-to-hand combat scene unfolded. The aliens, realizing too late that they were being attacked by the very prisoners they thought were weak, began to fight back. Laser fire filled the air, flashing in all directions, as humans and aliens clashed in close-quarters combat. The aliens, trained in warfare but not used to a fight like this, were thrown off balance. They had expected humans to cower, to beg for mercy. Instead, they were faced with highly trained, ruthless soldiers who fought with the desperation of men who had nothing to lose. The humans moved with precision, their movements fluid and deadly. Carter led the charge, his fists flying as he took down alien after alien, disarming them with ruthless efficiency. The ship's lighting flickered with each explosion, casting eerie shadows along the walls as the two sides collided. The sound of laser fire echoed through the metal corridors, deafening and disorienting. The aliens, for the first time, felt fear. They had always relied on their superior technology to crush any enemy, but now they found themselves outmatched by the primitive humans. Panic spread among them as they tried to regroup, but it was too late. The humans, with their military precision and stealth training, were overwhelming them, one by one. The aliens couldn't understand how this was happening. They had seen humans as weak, easy to control. But these humans were far from what they had imagined. They were warriors, skilled in tactics, and they were fighting for something far greater than themselves. Visual storytelling intensified in the chaos. The flickering lights, the sound of laser blasts, and the sudden movements of the humans as they took out their enemies created a cinematic atmosphere. The ship, once a symbol of alien superiority, was now a battleground. Each step the humans took brought them closer to victory, as the slavers' confidence shattered with every fallen soldier. The command center, once heavily guarded, was now in chaos. Alien officers scrambled to figure out what was happening, but the humans were always one step ahead. The tide of battle was turning, and the aliens, who thought they had the upper hand, now found themselves fighting for their lives against the very prisoners they had underestimated. The alien ship, once a symbol of invincibility, was now crumbling under the weight of its own overconfidence. As the humans continued their assault, the slavers' elite warriors, trained for years in combat, were falling one by one. Their greatest soldiers, armed with the best weapons and technology, were no match for the human prisoners who had transformed into relentless fighters. The aliens' panic reached a boiling point. Every move the slavers made was countered by the humans with chilling precision. Their advanced AI-controlled defenses, designed to keep intruders at bay, were hacked and rendered useless. The aliens, still in shock, scrambled to reorganize their forces, but nothing was working. The once feared security drones malfunctioned and turned against their masters, further fueling the chaos. The ship's internal systems, once perfectly in sync, were now a tangled mess of confusion. As the slavers began to retreat to their war room, the feeling of dread grew. They couldn't shake the eerie sense that something was terribly wrong. They had underestimated their prisoners from the very beginning, but now they were starting to see the truth. These primitive humans weren't just fighting to escape, they were orchestrating something much bigger. Something far more dangerous. The aliens' commanders, once so confident in their superior technology, were now realizing that they were up against a force they couldn't comprehend. They started to piece together the evidence: the humans' quiet sabotage, their ability to infiltrate secure areas, their calm under pressure, all signs that these weren't helpless civilians. These were soldiers, trained for war. In the war room, the slavers were frantically trying to come up with a plan to stop the humans. But just as they began to panic, a voice boomed across the ship's intercom system. It was a voice the aliens had never expected to hear: Sergeant Alex Carter. The message was simple, yet devastating. This ship has been taken. You thought we were weak. You thought we were just prisoners. But we are special forces. We are humans. And we defeat enemies like you every day. This battle is over. The broadcast echoed through the ship, sending shockwaves through the alien ranks. The aliens, stunned by the revelation, stood frozen in disbelief. Their most elite warriors had fallen, their technology was turned against them, and now they realized the truth: the humans they had captured weren't just some weak, primitive species, they were a force to be reckoned with. The message was a blow to their pride, a revelation that shattered everything they believed about their superiority. The aliens had underestimated humanity from the start, and now, as the truth sank in, rage and fear consumed them. They had been outsmarted, outclassed, and outmaneuvered at every turn. But there was no time for regret. The aliens knew that a final battle was inevitable. Their pride, wounded beyond repair, demanded that they fight back with everything they had left. They gathered what forces they could, preparing for a last stand. However, the tide had already turned. The humans, with their cunning, their strength, and their will to survive, had already seized control of the ship. The aliens were now trapped, their fate sealed. They had underestimated the humans' resolve, and now they would pay the price. The ship, once a symbol of alien dominance, had become the battleground for humanity's final stand. The slavers could still try to fight, but they knew it was futile. The humans had already won, the battle had reached its boiling point. The humans, driven by a fierce determination to survive and protect their home, fought with a relentless fury. There was no turning back now. They were not just fighting to escape, they were fighting to win, to show the alien slavers that they had underestimated humanity in the most disastrous way possible. The scene shifted from one of chaos in the dark, smoke-filled hallways of the alien warship, where hand-to-hand combat raged. The humans moved like shadows, cloaked and silent, slipping through the smoke as they took down alien soldiers one by one. The ship's narrow corridors became a maze of conflict, lit only by the flashes of laser fire and the glow of energy weapons. Each corner held the threat of an ambush, but the humans were always a step ahead, using their advanced tactics and ingenuity to outsmart their enemies at every turn. Meanwhile, the battle outside was even more intense. The camera pulled back to reveal epic wide-angle shots of the alien warship as the humans' assault took its toll. Sparks flew from damaged consoles, and the ship's systems began to fail under the constant attack. Lights flickered and alarms blared as the vessel's core systems shut down one by one. The once imposing warship now looked like a dying beast, struggling to stay alive. Sergeant Alex Carter and his team used everything they had at their disposal. Cloaking devices allowed them to move unseen, while hacked AI drones swarmed the corridors, turning the ship's own technology against its creators. The aliens, once so confident in their superior weapons, were now on the defensive. Every time they tried to regroup, the humans struck again, faster and more efficiently. The aliens' technology was no match for the humans' resourcefulness and relentless determination. As the battle raged on, the slavers' panic began to turn to terror. They could no longer rely on their advanced systems to save them. Each moment felt like the ship was collapsing around them. The tide of the battle had turned irrevocably in favor of the humans. But amidst the chaos, the emotional core of this part came with the sacrifice of one of the team's most beloved soldiers, Bonner. He had been a steady presence throughout the battle, always looking out for his teammates and pushing them forward when things seemed impossible. Now, he made the ultimate sacrifice. In a final confrontation with the alien warlord, Bonner fought bravely, holding nothing back. The alien leader was massive and powerful, a fearsome opponent who had commanded the slavers' forces with an iron grip. But Bonner, despite being outmatched in size and strength, fought with the heart of a lion. In an intense hand-to-hand battle, Bonner used everything he had, his training, his experience, and his will to survive. The fight ended with Bonner delivering a fatal blow to the alien warlord, taking him down once and for all. But as Bonner stood victorious, his strength gave out. The wounds he had sustained during the battle were too much to bear. He fell, his final breath taken with a satisfied grin on his face. He had done it, he had ensured the final victory for his team. Bonner's death hit the team hard. They had lost a brother, a friend, someone who had always been there. For a moment, the weight of his sacrifice hung over them, a reminder of the cost of victory. But instead of breaking their spirits, Bonner's death galvanized the team. They had come this far, and they couldn't stop now. His sacrifice had given them the chance to finish what they started. With renewed determination, the humans pressed on. The final battle raged on, but now they fought with even more resolve. The slavers, broken and defeated, had nowhere left to run. The warship was falling apart, their forces in disarray, and the humans were closing in for the final strike. The aliens had underestimated the humans, and now they would pay the price. The final victory was within their grasp, and nothing would stop them from claiming it. The battle was over. The once feared alien slavers were now defeated, helpless, and at the mercy of their human captives. The atmosphere was thick with the weight of their victory. The humans stood tall on the bridge of the alien warship, their eyes fixed on the view outside. The ship, now under their control, was a symbol of their triumph. The once proud slavers, who had once believed themselves invincible, were now nothing more than prisoners of their own ship, abandoned in the cold, empty void of space. The slavers' cries for mercy echoed through the ship's corridors, their voices shaking with fear and desperation. They begged for their lives, but it was too late. Their arrogance, their cruelty, and their underestimation of humanity had led them to this moment. The humans had proven that they were far from weak, far from primitive. They were warriors, capable of defeating even the most technologically advanced enemies. Sergeant Alex Carter, standing at the front of the ship, gazed out at the defeated alien fleet. The stars stretched out before him, beautiful and infinite. Each twinkling light represented the future, freedom for the countless species the slavers had oppressed over the years. Carter's mind drifted for a moment, remembering the battles, the losses, and the victories that had brought them here. They had fought for their lives, for their friends, and for the freedom of all the helpless beings the slavers had captured. Now, the galaxy knew that humanity was not to be underestimated. The humans had shown the galaxy that they were more than capable of standing up to even the most powerful alien forces. They were no longer the underdogs, the helpless, primitives, that the slavers thought they were. They had proven that, against all odds, they could fight back, and win. Carter turned away from the window, his expression hardening. He looked back at his team, the soldiers who had fought and bled beside him. They had lost friends, real heroes like Bonner, but they had succeeded. They had accomplished what no one thought possible. The feeling of triumph, of justice served, was overwhelming. But there was no time for celebration, not yet. The team moved quickly, taking control of the alien warship's remaining systems and preparing to return home. The once feared alien fleet, now broken and scattered, would never again pose a threat. The humans had dismantled their power, piece by piece, and had emerged victorious. As the ship began its journey back to Earth, Carter's thoughts returned to the larger message they had sent. The galaxy had seen what humanity was capable of, and they would never forget it. No longer would the humans be seen as a species to be looked down upon. They had proven that their strength lay not in their technology, but in their hearts, their courage, and their unbreakable will. The ship passed through the stars, leaving the alien warship far behind. Carter allowed himself a brief moment of peace. The galaxy, once a place of danger and oppression, had changed forever. Humanity had taken its first true step into the broader universe, and nothing would be the same again. The final scene was one of victory and justice. The humans had fought, sacrificed, and triumphed over their captors. They had shown the galaxy that humanity, far from being weak, was a force to be reckoned with. The message was clear: never underestimate humanity's ability to fight back, no matter the odds.